that through. We'll take any questions along the way. So not much more from my side, just to thank everybody for joining, handing over to Elena and to Daniel. And as I say, we'll take any questions that are raised along the way. So over to you, Daniel.
So thank you, Robert. So before starting, I'd like to first make sure that you two are muted, please, because otherwise we will have this background noise that makes the delivery a little bit more difficult. On the other hand, I'm going to follow up on the chat. There will be questions and answers. So every now and then, every 5-10 minutes, I will double check and we'll gather the questions, and I will drop the questions to Elena or even myself and the subject matter experts and our colleagues in Brindis as well, Gianluca's team. So please take a look at the chat, because that will be kind of like a parallel track besides the session itself, where we can cope and we can address all the questions or comments. And of course, this session it's been recorded, so we will upload the session and the content once it's an MP4, and then we will put it in our YouTube page. So and at the end of the session, you will receive the 2 presentations that we are going to deliver today, as well as the link to the recording. So without further ado, I will give the floor to Elena. So thank you.
Thank you, Daniel, and thank you, everyone. Thanks for spending some time with us and letting us the opportunity to present this new tool that we are sure that facilitate your daily routine. What we're going to present is the Contract Master Data Management tool that our colleagues have created. Let me. Okay. We're going to see the schedule of the rest of the day and tomorrow. We are also going to go through the objective of this session. We're going to see what's the rationale of the Contract Master Data Management process. Just let me check, are you seeing the screen properly on the animation? Okay.
Yes, the screen is okay, but I think the animation, it's still not active. Here we go, now it works.
Okay, we're going to see briefly the objective and the rationale for the Contract Master Data Management process. We're going to see what is the roles involved and the components. We're going to see what is the process that you are going through today in order to maintain the contract catalog and also to create new contract catalog and the lines within, and how this tool will facilitate some of your routines. And then we're going to show you what's the timeline for this initiative. Okay, basically, what we are presenting in this presentation is the what, the why, who and where, how and when about this initiative. Speaking about the schedule, let me go a little bit faster. We're going to spend the first 30 minutes in an introduction. So you are going to see all these W questions, and then we will move towards a demonstration on how the tool actually works. And tomorrow we will continue at the same time with a recap of today's session, and then we will show you how to modify contract lines that are already in SRM, and then we will allocate some time for discussion and wrap up and your comments. Let's move towards the objective of today's session. Basically, we are all here together because we want to show you what's the use of the new Contract Master Data Management process, which is a recent tool that is developed by our colleagues in Umoja Coordination Service Data Team in collaboration with you guys working in Procurement Division. Basically, this process facilitates the creation and update of the line items in the contract in SRM, both creation of new line items and also modify existing line items. What you do is you as buyers collaborate with the technical experts working in logistics division or OICTD. And once the product ID, the specifications, but also the commercial part of the product ID, such as the price, the Incoterms, if there are any discounts, if there are any volume discounts, everything that is related to the line items contained in a contract. First, you collaborate in order to define these aspects of the contract. And then there is a second level of collaboration or interaction between the buyers working in Procurement Division and Umoja Coordination Service colleagues. Basically, once the definition of the line items are cleared by Procurement Division with Logistics Divisions and OICTD, Procurement Division will submit a request for master data maintenance of a particular contract, and then there will be some interaction between the data team in Umoja Coordination Service and Procurement Division. Always Procurement Division validating and approving the process of maintaining the contract line items.
Yeah, and if I may, Elena, that's as I think that if you were in the Kickoff BTC yesterday, Elena mentioned briefly several aspects that make this tool very efficient in a way, because don't just think that we are not going to work in the portal for the modification and creation of new line items. We're going to work in a template, so we can work offline, so we can share with our colleagues. And once all the line items and the aspects of the contracts are agreed, and they are clear for all counterparts, then there will be a load from that template into SRM, and then the contract will be available. So the cool thing about the tool is just there is a workflow involved, but there is a template that can be modified and can be shared along the different counterparts, and everything is tracked through the tool. That's why we want to really make this session very practical. Although you see that the presentation is over there, but it's for your easy reference, so you can go back in case that you start working with the tool 2 weeks from now. You have the screenshots, you have their guidelines, but please focus on the demos that we will be performing during these 2 days. Over to you, Elena. Thanks.
Thank you, Danny. And just to add that if you are here, is because you are either working in Procurement Division, dealing with vendor solicitations and contract, or you are working as a technical advisor on to the Procurement Division. So now we're going to address the question of why this process and why this initiative. Basically, it has been reported that the maintenance of the contracts in Umoja is very time consuming, and it requires a lot of effort. Why? Firstly, because the data is to be entered manually, one by one, by Procurement Division, who owns the contract in SRM. And as you know, SRM and the portal is sometimes is not the easiest tool or more clear tool to manage. In addition to that, sometimes there are performance issues, especially when the contract has a large number of lines. And this creates a challenge for the buyer that is working on the contract. And lastly, an upload tool was provided in the past, but it was not used as it was too technical or complicated to use. So the acceptance was low. So here we have the situation. As I said, the maintenance of the contract catalog is difficult. However, the maintenance of the contract catalog is extremely important. So there was a need identified in order to facilitate this process, especially since the decommissioning of Galileo, where, as you know, Umoja is connecting all the modules, and basically the contract catalog affects upstream and downstream processes, and it's one of the most important modules and processes as it affects to the planning, solicitation, and of course shopping carts, purchase orders, goods received, service entry sheet, anything regarding with inventory, equipment management, warehouse management, transport management, goods issue, etc., etc. It is so important to have the right product ID and the right contracts in place that it actually affects the rest of the modules in Umoja. Here we have, as a summary, Umoja is presenting some challenges, and now Umoja is providing an alternative for the solution that hopefully will enable our work. As I said, this process has been implemented with the objective to facilitate the maintenance of the contracts. As we already know, it's super important that the contracts are accurate with the correct product ID and the correct data, such as Incoterm, Incoterm location, prices, etc., in order to support the rest of the processes done in Umoja. And also an advantage that you will see when we go a little bit further in some minutes is that if you need to request new product IDs, you can do it at the same time as you are requesting a new contract to be updated in SRM. So in this way, you will save two processes and you will be able to do it not only to do the process once, but also to externalize the process of doing it. You will give instructions to the data team in order to support either to create new product ID or to maintain the contract catalog. Again, the only objective is to facilitate and improve maintenance and accuracy of the contract. That will, at the end, benefit the rest of the supply chain management. So, if there are not any comments, I'm going to move towards okay, we explain why this initiative, and now we're going to explain who, meaning what are the roles involved and where are we going to work with this, what is this tool. Okay, the roles is basically this process is to be used by those of you who has the role of buyers in SRM and working in procurement division, but also those of you who provide technical advice on specifications of the product ID. And you are either working in logistics division or OICT. Till it doesn't change, the ownership is by procurement division, and procurement division controls the process for updating the contract. Moreover, the control mechanism is placed at two different steps of the process. The first step is they need to pre-approve the load that the master data team is going to do into SRM. And once the contract is updated in SRM, the buyer will go and release the contract. So these are the control mechanisms that are in place. And then where is this tool? So we are, you will be working into 3 components. First is the dashboard. Basically, it's in the intranet, and is where the templates for the maintenance, creation and maintenance of the contracts can be downloaded, and where the request will be reviewed and submitted. Then you will work on the template. The template basically is an Excel template that you will download from the dashboard. You will work on it. You can take your time, as is not limited by Umoja or the connection. You can collaboratively work with the technical experts, and also it can take as long as it is needed in order to complete all the information of all the lines in the contract. It's an Excel template. You can save it for record keeping as well as a result of the solicitation or for the contract management. And then you will work in SRM, because at 2 stages. First of all, you will download the existing contract or the new contract number from SRM. And as a last step of the process, you will release the contract in SRM as well. So you will be working in these 3 tools: the dashboard, which is in the intranet, the template, which is based in Excel, and in SRM. And the roles that you need in order to work in the dashboard is either the contract management role that is going to be granted to procurement division. This role allows to pre-approve the load of data in SRM. Besides that, it allows to download the template that needed, submit the request, and review the request. Those of you working in logistics division or ICT, you will receive the role of category manager, which basically covers the same as contract manager, except the pre-approval process. Remember that the contract catalog is owned by procurement division, and it's procurement division who will pre-approve the load of the data. The dashboard can be accessed using this link, materialmaster.un.org. And lastly, let's review the process as it is now and how it will be changed in the future, almost in the present. So currently, how do you work? Okay, this is a screenshot of a contract in SRM. Basically, when you need to create or maintain, edit, or renew the conditions of the contract, is the buyer with the role SA.03, procurement buyer. This is the role in Umoja. Goes into the contract that begins with 47, clicks on edits, and needs to work through the lines, and then in the bottom part of the screen, it needs to edit all the information with regards to the highlighted line, but also there is other information in the general tabs as overview, header, etc. This is a process that you need to go through. Sometimes it's a little bit time and work intensive, and sometimes, as said, when there are too many lines, it represents an issue. What we are proposing or presenting as an alternative is that you guys, in collaboration with each other, submits a request to our colleagues working in the data team for contract line items. So basically what you do is to first to download the templates, then to complete the template with all the product ID lines and details, and then you submit the template. You will receive an email notification acknowledging the receipt of your request. And then our colleagues in data that are expert in managing big amounts of data will validate the submission. They receive your submissions. They make sure that it's accurate and it's properly completed. If not, they will contact with you in order to have a clearance into the template. They will contact you by an email notification. And once you in procurement divisions acknowledges that the file is correct, they will load the data and close the request. The next step is that the contract with all the updates is already available in SRM. You just need to look for your contract number and release the contract, and it's ready to be used. Basically, this is some of you already saw this diagram yesterday. Basically, what you need to do is to download the template, complete the template, submit it to the colleagues in the data team, and they will upload the contract. Then it goes back to SRM, where you, as buyers, need to release the contract. And let's address the question of when is this going to happen, from when. Okay, the timeline is that following this training of these weeks, you will be provided with the access, to the master data management functions in the dashboard. An email notification will be sent out when the access is available. You will receive also additional information and documentation. And the expected launch is next week. So from next week onwards, you will have access to the tool. This is the introduction we wanted to show you. Is there any comment or question? Or also from Robert and Gianluca and our colleagues, please.
Thank you. Thanks, Elena. Yes, exactly. Thank you very much for the introduction. At least sets the tone and a little bit the ground of we're going to go through these days. We have questions and comments. First, whether the process of contract creation with this new tool, whether it's going to change in a way. Crystal is asking in a way whether the actual process will change. In a way, it will not. The only thing is that we have in parallel two options. You can still change things in the portal. You can still add new line items, change new line items, but this process is allowing you to do those things offline with more control mechanisms in place. First, by your knowledge as a category manager. Secondly, the MDM team in Brindisi who will take a look at the request of PID and whether from the technical point of view those line items are making sense. And lastly, the PD, the procurement division will, from the business point of view, will give a green light to that. So yes, both processes are living coexist, let's say. But this process of the contract creation and the modification of contracts through the template, actually, it's working very, very fast. Then we have questions related to pharmaceutical item PID requests. That's a specific question in terms of nomenclature, so I'm going to just leave it there to the parking lot to see whether our colleagues in New York can take that questions. If not, I'm writing it down, and then we will get back to you, Janet. And then we have questions related to the time for the contract to be in the system, right? As you can see, you will see today and tomorrow, from the time that the contract is approved from in the tool, let's say from the MDM team in Brindisi, and then that contract is released. Let's say there is an upload. You will see an upload from the new line items into the system, but that will take only 10 minutes. Since from the CSV file, which is created up until it's in production, in 10 minutes, that contract is ready to be used, whether it's brandly new or whether it has been subject to any modification. Okay. Then Judy is working. It's asking how this will work for MoveCon contracts for movement of COE and troops, I believe, right? So thank you for that question. We're taking note of that one. Sorry, we are not addressing the questions on the fly, but we have this the objective to go to the system and to show you the tool, but we're keeping track of those questions. So don't worry, that will be duly answered. Over to Robert Gianluca, if you want to intervene, or if not, I give the floor to Elena. Thanks.
Yeah, just a couple of comments. I saw the pharmaceutical questions, Jeanette and Georgia. Maybe we could take that one offline and have a meeting today or perhaps tomorrow afternoon to go through the specifics, to have a look at the template that you're referring to. Secondly, I'll send you an email about that. Secondly, in relation to how long it will take, I mean, I just want to be clear that, I mean, physically, as Daniel describes it, it's quite a quick upload process. However, you know, like any sort of request process, you know, we will have to deal with multiple requests at any given time. So we don't know exactly how long it'll take to turn around. And this will depend on volume, but we should probably allow for 1 to 2 days from the moment of approval to it being available to release. We can see how that goes. Obviously, in urgent cases and that we can speak and discuss, and we can prioritize items, but just to be clear, it won't be 10 minutes after you hit the button that it's loaded. It will be as quickly as possible. We will, I think it's important also in these, particularly as we begin this process, as mentioned yesterday, that we maintain some sort of dialogue, and that if your contract, as I say, is very urgent, let us know, or if you're still waiting on it after, say, 24, 48 hours, let us know, and we'll make sure to give it the right attention. If there are any issues, we will, of course, inform you directly.
Thank you, Robert. Yes, exactly. From the technical point of view, the upload, it's only 10 minutes, but obviously there is a business process and a workflow in place that may take obviously more than 10 minutes. But as Niara is suggesting over the chat, maybe it will be useful to come up with some sort of agreement, some SLA, so all the counterparts understand the timing involved. So over to you, Elena. Thanks.
So thanks, everyone. Now I think what we can do is to show how the process will be done from next week. Basically, as said, today we're going to see one scenario where we want to create a contract, and tomorrow we're going to show you a scenario where there is a contract in SRM and then we need to renew the contract and therefore to apply some modifications to the contract. What we're going to see is we're going to see the objectives of the session. Basically, I said it already. We're going to explain how to create a contract in SRM, and then we're going to, just as a reminder, and then for you to have it, what are the roles that are involved, both the roles as a business in the business process, the roles in Umoja, and the roles in the dashboard, the equivalences. Objectives of this session, which is the session of today. As I said, we want to show you what is the process of downloading the template, completing the template, submitting the request, approving the request, and reviewing the load in SRM. These are the steps. And we are going to identify the roles that take each action. Let's see what is the end-to-end process. As said, there are 3 components that you will be working with. Is the dashboard. Remember, it's the intranet, is the tool where you will download the templates. You will submit and upload the templates. Once they are completed, you will review and approved. Also, the dashboard is sending the automatic email notifications. Then you will also work in the template. You see the green color, it's put in purpose for you to remember that it is based on Excel. It's an Excel spreadsheet where you will work on it. And then SRM, it's known by everyone by this time, is where the contract will be uploaded for its use. There will be 2 types of roles that if you want to access to the dashboard, you either need to be given the role of the contract manager for those of you who are working in procurement division, because you will need to pre-approve the load that our colleagues in the data team are going to do. If you are not working in procurement division, you will be given the role of the category manager so that you can use the standard functionalities, such as following up what is the status of the request, for example, downloading the templates, etc. This is the link to the dashboard. And this is the summary of the end-to-end processes of creating a contract. I have put in the first row, as you see here, what is the business role, what is the role, what is the office that is performing the specific action. Then I put the system role, meaning that if sometimes it's a role in SRM, sometimes, as I said, it will be a role in the dashboard. Sometimes it's done offline, not in SRM, not in the dashboard. And then it's the step. It's a little description of what is happening at that stage. The process begins with the creation. Remember that we are in a fiction scenario where we need to create a contract as a, let's say, result of a solicitation process. So the first thing that we need to do in order to include this new product ID and vendor in SRM, in the contract catalog, we will need to create a contract header. Basically, we need to create a contract number that begins with 47, okay? It is done by procurement division, by the buyers working in procurement division. The role in SRM granted to the buyers is the role of procurement buyer, coded by SA.03. Once you have your 47 series number for the contract, what you will do, and here we are in the green arrow, meaning that we are going to work in some Excel spreadsheet, which is the template. The buyer and the technical experts will work in collaboration in order to complete the information that will ultimately be in SRM. They will get the information from the Annex C in the contract. They will verify the template, add product IDs, and add all the commercial information. So if you see, there is no system role because it's done offline, the system. it's done by using the template, meaning that you will not have connection issues. You can communicate and collaborate by email, forwarding to each other the template. It can take longer or shorter. There is no issues, and you don't need any role because you are not working in Umoja and you are not working in the dashboard. Yes, Danny.
Thank you, Elena. Just as Elena is mentioning the template, we want to really focus, underline the fact that when if you are acquainted with SRM, when you export from the portal any given contract with all the lines, it may feel, that you have plenty of fields, plenty of different lines, and it's kind of difficult to work in Excel with that type of format. Just try, I mean, you probably know better, but just try to just download, a contract with 150 lines. The good thing about the template is that when you extract that piece of information in Excel, you kind of like link it to the template, and then the template will give you a very clear and clean version of the line items and the header of the contract, which, as Elena is saying, will make really useful to share that type of information with other peer colleagues. So they will be able to give you advice on that particular extract with clean and very clear information of all the fields. Whereas if we are going to share the initial extract from SRM, really makes difficult to really understand first the different fields and the line items involved in the contract. So you'll see live, but really it makes a huge difference, the contract in Excel from the template point of view, if you compare it with the initial extract from the portal. So just to underline that fact, over to you, Elena. Thanks.
Thanks, Danny. Also, for example, in this process, technical experts providing advice on the specifications of product ID have direct access to the template where the buyer is also working, and it doesn't happen if all the editions of the contract is happening in SRM, where it's only the buyer with the role of SA03 has access to it. This allows a little bit more of close collaboration in order to really define the lines of the contract. Well, now, once we have a contract number, then let's say that we have completed the template with all the information, product ID, Incoterm, delivery time, payment terms, conditions, discounts, etc. Everything is completed in the template and is validated by procurement division, by the technical advisors. The next step is, and we are, as you see, we are moving to the light blue, which means is the dashboard. So the next step is performed in the dashboard, and basically is to upload and submit the contract request template. So the Excel will be uploaded in the dashboard, either by the buyer or by the technical expert. Any of the two can do it. Remember that in order to work in the dashboard, you will have either the role of the contract manager or the category manager. These are the roles that enables you to log in into the dashboard. So you will collect this template, and you will submit, you will upload the request. Then it's the UCS data team who acknowledges the receipt of the request by sending an email notification to your mailbox, and they will validate and acknowledge the receipt of the request. Is the MDM team. They will propose, once it's clear, clean, etc., they will propose what's going to be uploaded in SRM, but before uploading in SRM directly, they will ask for the buyers an approval of the load that they are going to do. This is only done by the contract manager. It cannot be done by the role of category manager. So it will be the buyer owning the process and giving the green light in order to continue with the process. If the buyer, also the buyer can reject and can reject one line, all the lines, etc. We're going to see that. Let's imagine that all the lines are correct and the buyer gives the green light to all the lines to be uploaded in Umoja. Then the next step, and we are moving to the dark blue arrow, meaning we are working in SRM, is the master data management team to upload the contract in SRM directly. They will import the contract with a role that they have for the administration. And then the last step is the buyer to log into SRM, look for your 47 contract number that you created here in the first step, and click on edit, click on the released, and the contract will be released and ready to be used. This is the process. I don't know if there is any question in the chat or someone.
Yes, thank you, Elena. Exactly. We're now that we are mentioning the MDM team and the validation of the request that you're mentioning, right? But when you are saying that they acknowledge the receipt of the, let's say, a new contract request or a modification of several line items in a particular contract, Gianluca, it's in the chat explaining specifically which are the different aspects that they go over from the data point of view. Obviously, from the business point of view, they have nothing to say, but from the technical point of view and data point of view, they do. So they are making sure that they ensure consistencies of PIDs, what you said initially, especially with the supplier text in the case that the correct PID was not selected. Check that there are no overlapping of dates with conditions in lines, that actions identified in the template are feasible in SRM, in the portal, and other consistency checks to ensure that the final upload in SRM will go smoothly and with no problem whatsoever. So it's, let's say, a control mechanism that currently, it's kind of like embedded with new processes embedded in the business process itself. And it's giving, a good added value, especially when you mentioned that, selecting a wrong product ID or initiating the all the, let's say, requisitioning process with a wrong product ID has very negative consequences down the road, and we have experienced those consequences during the past 2 years. So that's why it's quite important, to start with the right foot, and making sure that the Lucas team and PD and of course the category managers are in the same line. So just mentioning that Gianluca is answering the questions, and he's as long with his team, the focal point for the MDM tool. Over to you, Elena. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for clarification, and please feel free to also speak when you deem so. This is the summary of the end-to-end processes, and we are going to focus on each one of the steps. So we said, how do we start when let's say we conducted a solicitation process for, let's say, mosquito nets, and we want to include in the contract catalog a new contract that offers mosquito nets, okay? And the first thing what we need to do is to log in Umoja SRM and to create a contract header. The system will populate a contract number with 47, beginning with 47. It will return a lot of red errors, but the contract will be able to be saved, and this is important. But because what we want is a number at this stage. It's a new contract. We want a number. Once we get the number, we close and log off Umoja SRM. This step is done in SRM. It's quite simple as of now. The next step, as we said, we need to work on the template. In order to get the template, you buyers and technical experts will log in into the dashboard. This is how the dashboard looks like. This is the link to the dashboard. In order to log in, you need to enter your email and your EADMS password and click on login. So material master and then email, password, and click on login.
And just I'm anticipating some of the questions because usually when we are introducing a new tool, there are plenty of questions related to the roles and how I access, how I request, how am I granted to this role. So I'm going to leave all these communications to Gianluca and Robert. So if you feel free to drop a couple of comments in the chat. So how people in PD or category or contract administrators will be able to access the tool. Okay, because we will not cover that part in this training, but it's important. So I leave it to you guys to inform the end users over the chat, or even if you can intervene verbally, no problem. Over to you, Elena. Thanks.
Yes, sure. And also remember that if you will realize if you try to log in the dashboard and your access is denied, then at least you have the notion that there are two roles and you need either to request one role if you are working in procurement or other role if you are not working in procurement. And it will be a matter of requesting the role that you are missing. Once, let's say that you are logged in, it will be your user, and then this is the role. And then you will see at least 3 tabs. You will need to click on the tab called Contracts. Once you are in the tab called Contracts, in order to get the template, you will need to click here on the Contract Request button. And once you click on the contract request button, then you will have, the file here. This is the template where you just need to double click in order to download the template. And then you need to save it in your computer. Okay, in order to save it, you need to save it, but the template will not allow you to save it if you don't put minimum information. And this minimum information is the contract number and the PD buyer group. So that's why the first step is to get a 47 series contract number. Otherwise, if you download the template and then you want to save it in your computer in order to work on it, the system is going to request for a contract number. So this is that's why the first step is to get a number from SRM. This is the template, how it looks like, where you need to populate all the data, technical and commercial data of the contract. Here you will put, this is the legend of the, okay. Well, if you have, if the Excel shows you this message, you need to click Enable Contact in order to be able to type. And then there are 6 main areas in the template. The first is as we were speaking, is the contract identification fields. Basically, identifies the contract number and the purchasing group. Then we have another area with 3 buttons that are operational buttons, buttons to add new lines, buttons to change delivery information, and buttons to change to go to the contract. Then also these buttons that are operational, and we're going to show you what they are for. Condition management to add when the prices, for example, change depending on the location, or the prices change depending on the dates, like from this date to this date, the price is X dollars. From that other date, the price will be increased, etc. So you can add extra information to the line. by using all of this is done by using these buttons. Then you have two columns here that will identify with line item numbers created. And D is the basic minimum information that a contract must have, like the product ID, product description, the category, the supplier product number, the currency, the value, unit of measurement, Incoterms, payment terms, Incoterm location, delivery lead time, how long the vendor needs in order to deliver the product, etc. So this is the core, let's say, fields that needs to be in the contract. And then you have condition columns, so conditions that apply. As I said, when there is a discrimination of the prices depending on the location maybe, or maybe on the dates. And then scale columns is the F. Basically, wait, where is my mouse? Oh, okay. Basically is if the supplier is applying discounts to the volume. The more quantities you purchase, the price will drop. You can also, it's not so common, but it can happen. This is the template that you will spend some time in order, and collaboration time in order to complete it. Danny?
Yes, thank you, Elena. I'm sure you will show live, but please bear in mind that within the template, the first tab, it's devoted for giving you the instructions with the fields that Elena just explained. Not only the buttons that you can see in the screen right now, but as well the different fields related to the master data elements, which ones are present in the template, and a description of each one of them. Target value, unit of measure, quantity, payment terms, Incoterm. All of those master data elements are duly explained in the template. You'll see live when Elena performs the demo, but there is a big chunk of information really within the template, so there is minimum space to commit errors, at least from initially when you're starting using the file, the Excel file. And obviously, you have to be acquainted and familiar a little bit with Excel, how it works. Because you will have to use the drop-down lists. You will have to copy and paste and fill in those cells. So at least a minimum familiarity with the Excel spreadsheets are, let's say, it's mandatory. So over to you, Elena. Thanks.
Thank you, Danny. Let's move forward. As I said, in order to start filling the template, super important to complete the 47 number that SRM has provided you before, if you want to be able to save the template, that I'm sure you want to, and then to specify the purchasing group. These are the purchasing groups. And then it's a question of adding a line. In this case, remember, we are creating a new contract in order to be added to the existing contract catalog. So it's a new contract, it's empty, we just have a number. So we're going to start populating lines. In order to do so, we just click on the bottom new line, and then the new line button is to create new lines. And there are 3 ways where you can request new lines to be created. By product ID, product category, or material group. There is another instance, and it's when you are requesting at the same time a new product ID that doesn't exist as of now. Okay. So you need to specify a product ID if the product ID already exists. If it doesn't exist because you are purchasing a brand new item, then you need to request the creation. You can take the advantage and request the creation of the new product ID. And you need to specify the price, the supplier product number, and the supplier text. You complete the data and then you click on Insert. If you are tired, or well, if it's okay with you, I'm going to go to explain a little bit, a couple of slides more. We break for 5 minutes, and then I go to the system and I show you the same thing I'm showing in the PowerPoint in the system, and you will see how much easier it is. So yes, we said this is how to request new lines. This is the screenshot that shows in case that you are creating a product category, you will need to select from the drop down the category of the product, to provide a short description, and then to complete the other details. Here is the NT value, not to exceed, and then the supplier product and text, and then click on insert. So in this way, we have already, let's say in this screenshot, populated 2 lines for the product ID. The first line is an example of requesting a new product ID, which is the floor fan, sorry. There are no much details like product category description, etc. But you completed, or the person completed the supplier product number, etc. The second line is an example of the product category line, where you have the category, but you don't have the product ID. And this is a little bit, this is a legend on the meaning of the lines. So, but for example, in light blue are not required. You don't need to specify a product ID if you are requesting a product category line. Okay. And let me see how far I want to go. We're going to see this live. And okay, I think I'm going to stop here if it's okay with you. We break for 5 minutes, and after that, I will show you how to complete the template live.
Yes, perfect. Okay, yes, so we give you a break because it's almost 1 hour since we started. So please make sure that you're back in 6 minutes from now. We will resume now with the system itself, so you see how the contract creation and the line items creation is done just live. So we'll see you in a short while. Thank you. So thank you for staying with us. We are resuming the session. Let me take a look at the chat just in case we can answer some of the questions. Okay, we have a question from Niara in terms of detailed quantities by line services, but we're taking note of that one, don't worry, but obviously we'll have no time to go now through that question, but we will try to answer that over the chat. So thank you, Niara, for being so active. Just for your information, really, chat is firing up sometimes, and thank you, Gianluca. Thank you to all of you who are intervening and giving your sharing, so your thoughts and comments and questions, because that's basically the core objective of these sessions. It's besides showing a new tool, it's just, you know, the Q&A and the interaction, how you guys reacting, and your comments and suggestions are very, very enriching this whole process. So so thank you for that. And without further ado, I will give the floor to Elena, and then I think we can just go into the system and see how this famous template works and how it's the MDM dashboard looks like. Thank you.
Okay, let's go for it. I'm logged in the SRM portal, and I'm sorry, I'm not sharing. Okay, let me. Just a sec. Let me share my desktop. Here we are. We are recording the session as well, right? Okay, so we identified in the presentation that the first step is to log in SRM in order to get the contract number. I'm logged in SRM, so I will go to the left-hand menu to click on Contract Management. It opens another menu, and we click on Contract. In this case, I'm going to select the template for goods and services. And, you know, I am provided with a number, and this is all I need. Let me take note on the number. So 47,000 13,983. Guys, this is all I want and I need at this stage. This is the number. What I'm going to do is to save it. I will receive a lot of messages, but the last one states that the contract number has been saved, and this is all we need as of now. I closed and I log off. This is done by procurement division. The role in order to access to SRM is SA03, procurement buyer. The next step was to log in into the dashboard in order to get the template. So this is what I'm going to do. You will, the correct address, it's in the presentation. I'm working on a testing environment. And this is it. Remember, what you need to do is to put your, here on the top right side corner of the screen, you need to insert your email address and your EIDMS password. The EIDMS password is the password that you need in order to log in into Umoja. So is the same password. And then you click here in login. Oh, let me try again. So we click login. Here it is. Depending on the role that you are granted, you will see more or less tabs. but for sure you are going to see the tab for contracts, and this is what you need to click, either if you are working in procurement division or logistics division or OICTD. And then in order to extract your template, we're going to see it later. This is a summary of all the requests that are already placed by your purchasing group. This is the contract numbers that you are requesting to be either created or modified. This is your colleague who submitted the request and is receiving the automatic email notifications. The PD team. And then these are the total line items that have the specific contract. And here is where either procurement division or the technical specialist can follow up on the status of the request. Okay, and lastly, the last column is the date of the request. This is just a summary, and we are going to see it today and tomorrow to understand this process. Danny, over to you.
Yeah, I was just trying to understand. Can we just make a bit bigger this the screen with scrolling? Maybe it will disguise because let's see. No, the other way. Yeah. Don't worry. Yeah, a little bit. At least so the perfect. That's much better. So the initial view of this, let's say, inbox, we can call it inbox from the dashboard. It's well understood from the students. Now we can see much better the numbers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. This is a dashboard, as Danny was saying, where all of you, either you have the role of contract manager or category manager, will be able to not only to see the request number, but to see what is the contract being requested to be created or updated. What is the email address of the person who requested, what is the purchasing group or the PD team, the total of the line that were requested, and then what is the status of the lines. And the status are in a sequence, so the lines in the sequence number 7, the first step are under process, then it needs to be, as we said, pre-approved by PD, then the master data team is going to load the request, and then PD, you can either accept the proposal or reject, and then you can, is the master data team who will upload in SRM. Okay, so you can easily follow how many lines are going through the process, and this is the date of the request. But coming back to the process of the end-to-end, what we want is to get the template, right, in order to work on it. So buyers or technical experts will click on contract request, and here it is, contract template and a link. Click on the link, open and download. Excel opens. Yes, Danny.
As you can see, well, this is opening you can see a release date there. All changes in the template will be duly communicated to all users. But on top of that, the latest version of that template it's posted in that field. So you have the date when it was lastly released, in case that there are any modifications on the file. Over to you, Elena.
Yes, it is a good practice always to download the latest version of the template, not download the template, save it in your computer and use it throughout the time, because maybe you are using an outdated template. And Gianluca, Robert, Massimo will be able to confirm on this. Right, we downloaded the template. This is yes, I'm going to make it bigger. This is the template, and if you see this button, this message, remember to click it to enable the content. This is an Excel warning message, And then the first thing, remember, you need to do is to insert your contract number that you just extracted, so you will be able to save your template. My contract number was 47000. And then you need to select the purchasing group. In my case, mosquito nets, let's say healthcare. Okay. Once it is done, I'm going to save it in my computer, save as. I want, no, browse, I want to save it. In, let's say, the O drive. And MDM contracts. New contracts, templates. Okay. And oh, I rename. So just because I added this information, I've been able to save the template. Now we're going to work using these tabs, basically new line, change delivery info, and also condition management. Check errors, sort by line, etc. Let's go for it. As I said, we need to, this is a new contract and we want to populate with line items. First way, always, if we know that a product ID is already existing, then we specify what is the product ID that we want to include. In this case, mosquito nets, single bed is number 15. Let me write it. 1304. Click on enter. If by mistake, for example, I'm adding an extra number, the system will warn me, okay, let me add an extra number and we will see that the template is warning me that the product ID is wrong. If we select a product ID, then there is no need to select a product category. We can select the product. Let's say that the mosquito net, I don't know, it's $5. And then we will populate the supplier product number. I'm just putting numbers and the supplier text. Sorry, I don't have much ideas now. Remember, I'm adding an extra number, so I want to insert, and the tool is informing that either the product ID or material is incorrect. I say, okay, let me review. I correct, and then I will, you know, the system is already, I am already populating the first line. Danny?
So yes, I want to underline the fact what we mentioned before, what Elena mentioned before, related to control mechanisms. Even itself, the template has a embedded control mechanism from the product ID point of view. Then the Lucas team, the MDM team in Brindisi, of course, from the technical aspects of the template and the rest of the master data elements within the template, but on top of that, PD will have a say in order to approve eventually in the dashboard all these things, all these data entries in the template before eventually goes and it's released this contract in SRM. So as you can see, we're trying to limit a little bit, the room for mistakes, and the template itself is preventing you to commit several of these mistakes. Over to you, Elena. And then if you can just, so we don't forget to show the guys after the instructions tab so they can see. Just a suggestion. Over to you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I forgot. I went directly to the template, but remember the template opens in the second tab. The first tab is very nice because it's the instructions. So in case, in case you are not sure about what is to be typed in a cell, here is the explanation of the cell, the currency, the supplier identification number, etc. So everything, this legend is quite complete. And in any case, here also there are the buttons
What we did initially when we started to work with the template, Elena and myself, we printed out these instructions and we put it in our, let's say, close to our VDI. So you know, even though that most of these data elements are quite familiar to us, but I think it's a good practice to start, you know, having it as a reference or a cheat sheet that you can always use while you are working with the template. Over to you, Elena.
Thank you, Danny. So this is the legend of the different cells. Let's continue. We have what we did is to remember we are creating a contract for mosquito nets. This is the product ID of a mosquito net single bed. I'm going to add in this contract another product ID, and in this case, I do not know the product ID, but I know the material group. So I want to add something. The material group is camping and outdoor equipment. And then I'm going to, the system is asking me to insert a line description. So mosquito, I'm just inventing mosquito nets. And then NT 1000 here again. Supplier number and supplier text. I will insert. So we have already 2 lines. Each line has been inserted by providing different information. We want to add an extra line, which is imagine a spray for the mosquito net. And this is a totally new product ID. It doesn't exist in Umoja. We have never purchased it before. So I will type just new, and I need to provide a description. So mosquito spray. Okay. In this case, we are doing 2 steps at once as we are requesting this product ID to be created. Okay. Right. This is how we see. This is all the lines that we that we request will begin with the lowest number will be 10,000. So don't get scared. This will be the line 10,000, 10,001, 10,002. We have the product ID, we have the product category, and this is a request for new product ID. Here we have other information, crucial, let's say, for the contract. And let me see why I cannot move to the, can you see? Or it's too small? Then if we scroll to the right, we can populate. This is the part where we said it's a collaboration between procurement division and the technical experts. Well, the currency, the target value, and payment terms will be populated probably by procurement division, but there are other, for example, the selection of the product ID and the description. Maybe it's a collaboration between 2 units. And then here in this area is where we can add other extra qualities for the line. And also here is where we add if there are volume discounts. Let's move step by step. We have used the new line button. Then what we can do is to change the delivery information. And some of you will say, okay, this is only 3 lines, but let's say I'm managing 100 lines. How can I do it? We have different options. If you want to duplicate and copy the lines that I just created, what you need to do is to duplicate line. I'm not going to do it because I feel it's a little bit messy for the first time you do it. And tomorrow Danny will go back again and maybe he wants to play a little bit further. But basically, if you want to duplicate the lines for whatever reason and you don't want to populate it again, you need from Excel row number, in this case 4, this is the Excel row, to Excel row number 6. How many times? 4 times, 5 times, and then you duplicate. So it will be you will suddenly have replicated lines. Now, for example, we need to populate very important information, Incoterm location, payment terms, and delivery lead time. You can do it in a massive way. In this case, it's the same. You click on change delivery information and you specify from Excel line, remember, no line number, Excel line 4 to Excel line 6, the Incoterm, because it's going to be the same supplier. So the Incoterm is going to be, for example, FCA and Rotterdam Port. For example, the payment terms, it's going to be 30 days net. So within 30 days due net, and delivery lead time, the time that the vendor needs in order, it's agreed for the vendor to deliver the material, it's 45 days, okay? I'm doing all these changes. Well, these are only 3 lines, but it will be more useful for those of you who manage big line amounts, and unless in SRM, you will not get issues with the connectivity, okay? You can save at any moment. No major errors detected. So we have seen this tab, we have seen this other tab, and condition management tab. Condition management is to, as we said, if there are a variation of the price depending either on the location that is going to be delivered or either on the dates from one day to, I mean, this year is this price, next year the raw materials is increasing, and then the price negotiated is different. Also, you can apply discounts, etc. All these conditions are to be populated by clicking on this tab. And let's see how it looks like. It's asking me contract line item. So in this case, is the contract line item, not the Excel. I'm going to edit conditions for the line item 10,000. The system is going to load an empty current conditions because it's just a brand new line. So here I'm going to say, okay, this is the price, and the price amount $5 is the Mosquito Net USD. I'm going to put that the currency is dollars, and I'm going to say for this month, it's going to be $5. So until the 31st of March is $5. But from next month, it's going to be 5.5. So, and the system defaults to the year 999. This is just an illustrative example. I'm going to, what you can do now is to click in this button, sort by line numbers. So it will provide you a clearer picture of the status of your contract. For example, for the line number 10,000, which is this one, the same product ID, I have 2 prices. The price is 5 for this month. From next month is 5.5. Do I want to add another condition for the line? Let's try. I click on condition management. I click on the line number 10,000. It's going to load the current conditions, and I'm going to add a condition. Let's say it's a discount of 2% from okay, next year. And I will apply the changes. I sort by line number, and here, I see the different conditions for the same line item. It's easier to understand. And I said, the advantage is that you can save this Excel, share it with your colleagues, share it with other units, revisit as many times as required. Once it is everything clarified, you can even begin, let's say, completing the Excel before the, some approvals, etc. So you can work on the contract as much as it is needed and share it. And I think it's easier than SRM. Danny, you wanted to comment something?
Yes, thank you, Elena. Just to make sure that everyone understands what we did in the template, because I'm identifying, because I'm following the session through a laptop, and some of the, let's say, warning messages or even the buttons cannot be zoomed in, so it's a bit difficult to read completely what those buttons are. So just to make sure that even if you scroll, it's difficult because those system buttons cannot be modified. So I'm already discussing with Gianluca how that can be improved. But in any case, in order to understand what we just did, the first 3 lines that you can see, line 4, line 5, and line 6, refer to the same product ID. Okay, 2 of them we inserted or we created a new condition in line number 4 and line number 6. Then if we move to line number 7, where we are requesting it's a new product category. Let's see, this camping and outdoor equipment with a supplier product number, and even we identified some payment terms. And then lastly, in row number 8, remember that the row it's linked to the Excel template and not to the line number. Okay, please, I want to drag your attention to that because it's a slightly minor detail that can have an effect when you are identifying one or the other line. So line number 8 from the Excel point of view, row number 8, when you just created a newly product ID, and that's why you see this new cell, right? Because you're requesting a new product ID. And referring to some of our colleagues, so I think was Crystal's question, you are now within this template, you're creating a contract, you are adding up several lines, and at the same time, you are requesting a new product ID to the MDM team. So that's actually kind of like an added value on top of.
Correct, Danny. Your mic was not working in the last few words. That's why I was doing some signs. But yes, what you just said is correct. Do you want to continue? Okay, so yeah, just let me repeat it once again, because minor details can just stop from the process. Pay attention when the template is asking you for Excel row number, which is in this case what I'm pointing is number 8, or what is the contract line number, that it's this column. Also, another piece of information is that, yes, you can update massively some data by clicking, for example, delivery information, and you can specify the Excel number that you want to update at once. You can also duplicate lines. You can also another thing, what does it mean, this light blue color? Well, the colors is just for to facilitate the view. As we are adding lines, we'll have one line in blank, one line in light blue, one line in blank, in white, sorry, one line in light blue, etc. It's just that now we have resorted we have resorted and also added conditions to the same line. So that's why the line is all in white, because it belongs to the same product ID. Then the next line is in light blue, then the next line is in white, and then the next one will be in light blue, etc. So the blue is just a visual. We have, okay, let's assume that we have completed all the data, all the technical, commercial aspects. We are done. We have collaborated with as many people is required. We save the template. And yes, we close it. Next thing we do is we go to the dashboard and we need to upload the template and as a request. So this is the dashboard. Let me check if I'm still logged in. It seems so. This step can be either done by the contract management role or the category management role. Any of you will go, instead of downloading the template, browse. You are going to select training day. This is the template. You select and you click here and submit. By any of the two roles, remember. This is submitted. And you receive a message. It's a reference number. And the message is that the contract has been submitted successfully. I should shortly receive an email notification. I should see it popping up here, informing that the UCS data team is acknowledging the receipt of my request. Let me check. You see? This is the email. This is the email. It's a standard email with a reference number. The request that you have submitted has been received. Dear contract or category manager. As I said, any of you can submit the request. You will receive an information saying that this is the reference number in case you want to contact the team for anything. And please click on the following link to log into the Material and Service Master tool to follow the status in real time. So they are acknowledging the receipt of your request. And the next step is, let me see, here in the dashboard, I see that there is the summary of all the requests made by my team. This is me. I added 5 lines. They are all of them under process. Nothing has happened. It's now in the hands of the UCS data team. And yes, if anyone wants to add what they do with the contract, with the request. No, what? Oh.
Yes, currently Robert and Gianluca are quite busy with several questions related on how who is going to populate as from the category manager or contract manager point of view the different fields in the template. So that's we had several questions related to that topic. So they are trying to address those ones. But I think it's important to understand that once you request creation or a modification of a contract, you can always follow up, as you mentioned before, in this inbox, this sort of a inbox of the different requests that you or people in your same division are requesting, and you can follow up in real time. How many lines are we envisaging, and the status of the process? So which ones are under process, the ones are waiting for PD approval. That will happen only when the MDM team in Brindisi it's verifying the request from the technical point of view and will make it available for PD for approval. And then if it is approved by PD, then MDM team in Brindisi will do the final upload. And please bear in mind that the approval process has a two-way. It works in both ways. Works in a way that you can approve, but you can reject as well the different lines, and that's why I think that maybe we can show how that's done from the, let's say, a PD point of view, from a procurement division point of view. Over to you, Lena.
Okay, yes. Just remember, we created 3 lines, but one line had 3 conditions. So you are seeing 5 lines. 5 lines are not real 5 different product ID. It's just that the template considers the same product ID as having different conditions, and it's in different lines. Okay. So basically, what the UCS master data team is opening the request. They are reviewing that they are, in this case, 3 different product ID. One product ID has different conditions, and I'm now acting as the UCS data team. You don't need to do anything of this, but they will, validate each of the lines, checking if they make sense. This is something you don't need to, as I said, to do. They will approve. They will acknowledge the request is valid, the form makes sense, and everything is understood from their side and accepted. So they are approving the request. And now you see it has been moved, the 5 lines, to the stage where procurement division needs to approve the proposed lines that they intend to upload in SRM. So what now I'm going to do, I don't know if Gianluca can change the role.
Yeah, I have done, Elena. Just refresh the page. Refresh the page.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Gianluca. You are all over the place. Thanks.
Thank you. So let me see. Okay. Now I'm logged in as a buyer working in procurement divisions as contract manager. I only see these tabs now because I have the role of contract manager, and it's in the stage where procurement division needs to approve or reject the proposal of the load that UCS data team is making. I click on the reference number and I have different options. Okay. If I want to, let's say, I have a lot of lines and it's more comfortable to export the whole request into an Excel, I review it, I share with whoever I consider, this is downloaded in Excel, so you can you can expand the lines and, make some additions, work on it to review it before giving the approval. So in case I find it especially useful in case that you have a big number of lines, let's say that all of them you agree they are correct, you will approve the whole proposal by clicking on this button. Another option here in this example, I have just a few lines and I'm not so familiar with the process. I prefer to click here on the green button to really see what is planned to be uploaded in SRM. So I go and see all the intricacies of this line item. This is all the fields that the UCS data team is proposing to be uploaded in SRM. And then, okay, I review it. It looks okay. I approve this particular line item. This particular line item, it's approved. I go back. I select the, yes, this becomes red. I have granted the approval. But let's see, this other line, the line that I added as a category, I'm going to examine it, and actually is not well reformulated, let's say, and I'm going to reject it. This is not what I wanted, please. So I click on reject, and I have the option to provide to the UCS data team the reasons for rejection, so they can come up with a new proposal, so their colleagues, this is wrong because X, Y, Z. And then you reject. It has been rejected. This line becomes in blue as well because I have worked on it. And once all the lines, let's say that I want to approve. Yes, Danny, wanted.
I just realized that. Can you please go back to the back? Can you go back and to see the different concepts? As you can see, you see in the first line, we had a 5 in total, right? Elena took action in 2. That's why you see impending load 1. She won the one that she approved, and then she rejected another one. So that's why you have 1 in rejected, but they're waiting for PD approval 3. So 3 of them are still waiting. So, but you can still go and approve the other 3 or only load 1 if that is the case. So you can always go back to the inbox and see what's the status of your approval. Over to you, Elena.
Yes, thank you, Danny. This is a way in order to follow up the status of the request. And remember, any of you, either in procurement division, logistics, or ICT, can access to this information. Let's say in my example that the only wrong request was this one. For the rest, I have checked it and I agree. So I'm going to approve the massively, let's say, the rest of the lines. I give the approval. I click on the back button here on the left. All of the, 4 are pending to be loaded in SRM. 1 has been rejected. So the next step is the UCS team is going to upload into SRM the approved lines. They will not upload the rejected one. And let me check that I'm not skipping anything that I wanted to say. I explained the dialog box for rejecting. Yes, Danny?
Well, you're checking. Please bear in mind that now it's into the MDM team's hand to take a look at the request from the technical point of view and do the upload from the data point of view into the system. But eventually, when that load is done, that will take some minutes. Then notification is sent to the procurement division or the buyer, and then they will be able to release the contract, or excuse me, to let's say approve the contract in SRM. Over to you, Elena.
Yes, there are only 2 steps pending. Basically, is UCS data team to upload only the approved lines into SRM, and the buyer to log into SRM to search for the 47 number contract and click on edit, click on released, and the contract will be available in the contract catalog. I don't know if Gianluca is busy answering questions, or he can actually simulate as he's uploading a template, so we can see.
Yeah, if he cannot, we can just take it in the recap tomorrow. We can show.
Yes.
We can show Elena how that is reflected into the system. Because I see that I'm Gianluca team is all over the place. I'm sure they can do it right now, but as we will finish in 5 minutes or so. So and please, guys, bear in mind that tomorrow we'll do a recap of 30 minutes of today's session, and there we can see, let's say, the impact in SRM in production of this load, and that how it will be reflected as a newly created contract with the lines that Elena just created. Over to you.
Yes, thank you, Danny, for the proposal. I don't want to overload the UCS. I think it's more important that they answer the questions that you ask in real time. Just a recap before we closed, we have seen that we need to create the 47 series contract number in SRM. We work on the template, is an Excel template. Then we logged in. What we did is to log in into the dashboard. We uploaded the template. We also saw how UCS Teams acknowledges, sends an automatic email in order to acknowledge the receipt. They review the request. They have room for proposing. Then the next step is, and we can follow all these steps in the dashboard. We follow each one of the lines and their status. Then it's only procurement division who is going to, line by line, review the proposal and approve or reject. In case they reject, they can provide reasons for rejection and how to correct. And the last step is to import the contract in SRM. This is something that only the UCS data team will do. So it's done, let's say, a step done in the back end. And then the last step that we're going to see tomorrow is to log in, search for our contract number, and to see that the lines have been uploaded into the system.
Elena,
Yes.
if you wanna log in SRM, the lines are already updated.
You see how you guys see how fast it is. Okay, I'm just joking.
It can be if everything is correct. This is the main point of everything, but I believe that we have already answered to all the questions.
Thanks so much. Let's see. In this special, no. The user ID. FL1, say bye. What I'm doing is searching for the contract. This is the contract 47 13 983. So I feel your pain working in SRM. Let's see if the system finds it. No.
Click on contract management on the left, Elena. It should be already. Now close this window.
Okay, this one, contract
Yes.
management, contract.
Probably I'm.
Okay, one sec. Maybe it's me. What if I click on? This is the one. Yes, the status is in save status. Remember, out of the 3 lines that I created, I rejected one, the one that I inserted by product category. So now there are 2 lines only, and in the price there are conditions. Okay. I am here logged in, of course, as someone working in procurement division. I should apply due diligence and check all the items of the line, the 2 lines I have created. Once everything is correct, I will give my second approval. I click on edit and I click on save. One sec. I thought it would be the release button. Is okay. It's grayed out for some reason. It should be contract reference. Sorry. Okay, I didn't read. I need to add the financial rules here. Sorry, I went too fast. Formal methods of solicitation and lower cost bid. Let me check what was the other contract reference number. One partner, a supplier. Okay, I was running too fast. Supplier. I hope I find someone. Do you think FlashHacker will be available? Okay, Suerte. I'm going to select FlashHacker. Let me check. Please add a contract reference number in the header basic data. Okay. PD/01. Hopefully. Okay, and the currency.
Yeah, and before you release, it will be important. Gianluca is suggesting to go through the conditions line in line 1, the one that you modified.
Okay.
Thank
you. Conditions line. I'm going to log in. Details. Conditions. Yes, here we have the, I don't know if Gianluca wants to mention some words. This is where we have the summary of the conditions we added. We see the 2% discount that begins January next year until December next year. And then we have that it's $5 during March. I don't know if I changed the price for next month.
Yes, it was $5.5, but there is a discrepancy in the decimal separator between the pre-production and the production servers. So the template is really, let's say, at the moment working for production. So in this case, the price was not, let's say, accepted by SRM. But this is one of the cases where we do our checks. So let's say that it's everything under control.
Okay, so in real life, when you validate the template, you validate such things, I assume?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a procurement division releasing the contract. Released, and then we click on, and the contract is already released, doesn't need more approvals. This is the end-to-end. I hope you liked it as much as we like. And yes, it's over to you guys if anyone wants to comment on anything. We haven't finished with the PowerPoint. It's just a summary of the roles that we can repeat them tomorrow.
Yes, thank you, Elena. Thanks a lot, because it's never easy to show remotely a tool with so many different components. As you identified initially, there are three main components: the dashboard itself, the template, and then SRM. So we were going from one component to the other in order to create the contract. So I want to thank you all, particularly Robert and Gianluca's team in Brindisi for addressing all the questions. We're trying to download, and I'm struggling a little bit to download the meeting chat. So because we want to make sure that there are no questions missing for an answer. But in any case, we will try to do so this week. Remember that we are recording this session, so it will be available for you, let's say, in streaming in the next 15 minutes, and then we'll try to post it in our YouTube page, so you can follow as many times as you want this session and tomorrow's one. In case I'm mistaken, Elena, tomorrow you will start with a recap of today session.
Yes.
Trying to make it practical and underlining the main aspects that we want to convey from the end-to-end process, and as well as the generation of a new contract in the template. And then we will move on to the modification of the already existing contracts and how we can use the template for doing so. Before I give the floor to you to finish, let me take a look at the chat. I see that Gianluca is already giving examples for PAD material, so I leave it to him and to Eamon to discuss about that. So please, Gianluca or Robert, please feel free to intervene before we close, and over to you, Elena.
Yes, it's been a pleasure having you today in the session. If you want, we will see each other tomorrow. We will work again on the template, and I know that for the first time it can be kind of confusing, but tomorrow we're going to repeat it, and again, practice makes it anyone an expert. Thanks from my side. Over to UCS colleagues.
Okay, yeah, hi, this is Robert. Just to say thank you very much also to everybody for attending. Please attend tomorrow, and we can get through the conclusion. We will, as Daniel indicated, we'll endeavor to respond to all of the questions. We'll try and download them and provide at least some written indication. Some of the questions that are being raised are more operational sort of PD questions, which I think may need to be discussed within PD, and perhaps also with the category management. Our role is primarily to load the data subject to request. We'll try and provide as much guidance as we can, and as much according to official policy. Some of the questions about responsibilities between category management and PD may need to be aligned between category management and PD, but the fundamental aspects are the commercial side is owned by PD, and the sort of technical side is owned by the category management side. So the commercial input to the template would come from PD, and then where things are clear, the PIDs and supplier information can be proposed by PID, but generally, in particular for a new contract, that's the kind of really key areas that should be basically agreed between both, and that will where the real category management intervention would be. So so that's really just at a high level in terms of demarcation. The reality is that this should be happening informally today, and that this process will kind of bring together everybody more closely based on the new process that's being introduced. So there may be some you know, day-to-day things that need to get sorted out as we progress with this. But overall, as said yesterday, also we would encourage you very strongly to try and use this. The idea of this process is to help to get the contracts loaded more quickly into Emoja and more accurately, and have more collaboration in doing that. So thank you again for attending, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Thank you, Robert. We shall see you all tomorrow.